Hello and welcome to Season 2 of Club Baroness, the Infirmary. This is where we get to mess up Bregan in 1v1 matches where he has no partner to blame. We're going to get right into this tournament, and I'm going to introduce our hosts. First, Bregan123.
Hello and welcome.
Some Poor Choices.
Ready for some poor commentary.
And myself, Reborn Guinan. Bregan, as the head of this tournament, take it away and introduce us.
So we had a 1v1 tournament once already, so this is actually the second one we've had. And don't ever forget it, but in the last tournament, despite his jabs, Reborn Guinan himself went out 3-0 in the first round. That tournament did end up with Xanxus versus Monkey in the finals. For those who don't know them, it's Monkey 2051 and Xanxus. Xanxus ended up winning that final match. I believe it was 3-1. It was a really good set of matches, and we had good turnout last time. It was a single elimination with 16 players, and it was a lot of fun.
Do you remember the other two semifinalists?
The other two semifinalists, Math lost 3-0 to Monkey, which he's still salty about. He was talking about it earlier today. And Xanxus beat Pisshound87 in the semifinals as well, 3-0. So neither of the semis were actually very close.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then we had that. It went really well. And it's just kind of interesting to talk a little bit about 1v1 versus tag, because we're finishing up the tag tournament right now as well. And it's kind of a different skill set, and we're seeing a bit of a different field show up for this as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the differences between tag and 1v1? Poor choices?
Yeah, I can take it away for a sec. For those of you who have been following the tag tournament, you will see that you're definitely seeing a bunch of new names, but also some familiar names from the tag tournament. We know Math went out a little bit earlier in tag, but talking about his previous history in 1v1, you can tell he does a little bit better in 1v1. From what I'd expect to see a little more crazy arsenals. It's hard to have those crazy arsenals when you know that you're competing against two different people who might be able to block and stop you, but when it's one-on-one, that kind of goes out the window. I'd also expect to see a lot more draws, a lot of running around the tree, but that kind of scenario, it's going to be a little bit different tempo, a little bit more rush-oriented and a little bit more jank-oriented, and I think we're going to see, if we get any video, we're going to see some really peculiar stuff come out, so I think it'll be pretty entertaining and definitely give us a different top of the field than what we're kind of expecting.
Yeah, 1v1 has kind of a really rubber band tempo. It's either over super fast or it tends to slow down a lot, whereas tag usually tends to be, anywhere from 4 to 7 minutes, where this could be over in a minute and a half, or it might go the full 10 minutes every time. And I think one thing we're going to see a lot more of is capsule poppers, because you can't rely like in tag where you can get around shields the same way or be able to flank and outposition the enemy quite as easily, because they can just keep going around large objects like the tree on Palace. And I think Diabolical Trick, Shatter, Violent Change, I think we're going to see a large uptake in those skills through this tournament.
Should make for an interesting meta.
Yeah.
What do you think, Guinan?
There's two differences I notice. You're going to see one about the rush and slow, is that in tag, it's not just two arsenals versus two arsenals, but almost larger is the fact that you can pick up your partner. In 1v1, damage has permanency. 2 damage without like a healing water or something is going to stick on them. You deal 10 with, let's say, a Muramasa Blade, they're half dead. That's it. They have to deal with it. So you might see people playing very defensively because they cherish their health, or aggressively because they know once they get it down, that's it. And it's for capture.
Oh yeah, and certain skills go up in value there, like healing water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as well as more one-use skills, the kind of stuff you see in Memory of Battle.
Like many Muramasas.
Muramasas. I mean, Psycho Spear. 8 damage looks like 2 rock shots, but it's also, 40% of your health. So that's important.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how the meta plays out here. In the last tournament, the meta didn't develop quite as much. It was still pretty early with the re-release of the game, but we did see a lot of optic in the last one, is at least in the matches that I watched, because I spectated a lot of the matches, and I'll be trying to do that for this tournament as well. For anybody who's getting ready to play their matches, just let me know when you're going to play, and I'll do my best to be there, and I'll record, and we'll do commentary for them. But whenever I spectated the matches in the last one, there was definitely a lot of the vibration that I saw in that tournament.
I would expect to still see some of that this time around.
Yeah, for a 1v1 scenario, vibration laser is one of the best skills you can rely on. And so I think we are still going to see a lot of that because it's just such a versatile skill. And let's go ahead and I guess we're done talking about that right there. Let's talk a bit about the format of the current tournament and the rules going on here. Do either one of you want to start that portion out and have me kind of answer questions as we go?
Let me give a piece of this. I've been talking to Bregan as he was developing these rules, kind of a sounding board. And the idea was to make it feel a little more of personal importance. We had some teams in the tag tournament say, well, I went negative a couple rounds in a row, like, what's left for me, right? And we have some new names, which I'm super excited about, people that, like, I've never played with before. I've never seen a recorded match with before. So we want to let them get the experience. So we're doing this, is pods what we're calling it?
I just went with groups, but we can call them pods.
Either way. Groups, pods, subsets of the entire tournament. There's 4 6-person pods, I'm going to go with, I guess. And each one is playing round robin. That means they're going to play all of the other 5 participants. So 5 rounds per player. We're doing all of that in just 3 weeks. It should be easy to schedule because there's not as many people involved. And the top 2 teams from each pod will go into our traditional tournament. It's kind of culling the field, but it also makes 5 rounds for everyone, which means everyone gets a chance to play a good amount of Phantom Dust, meet all of their opponents, give a showing. You could lose to the top player and still win the tournament easily.
Unlike some of the unfortunate mishaps, like some unnamed players who lost to the tournament winner in the first round last time in a single elimination.
Yeah, single elimination.
Or the second round for other unnamed players.
Yeah, it doesn't give you as much of an idea of where everyone falls. It definitely gives you Highlander kind of feeling, like there will be only one, but it doesn't tell you everyone a place where they belong. The people who lost in the first and second round last time, perhaps they still could have taken second, third, fourth, fifth place, but it just didn't fall out right because of the timing.
Yeah, I think this will be able to give us a little bit better judge of who belongs in the top 8 once we get there. And just in general, I wanted everybody to feel like they didn't have to, just... Because before, the 1v1 tournaments tended to be the first round was just a culling of all the newer or amateur players. And this time around, each group is going to, at least, for what I'm seeing, has a few lower-end players. And so they're going to be able to pick up some wins off each other, maybe make some upsets, and maybe even make it out of the group stage without, having to face, like a top 4 player right there in round 1, and then your tournament's already over.
No,
so I think that'll be exciting.
Mm-hmm. This is actually my first official tournament, so I'm actually really excited to get 5 or so tournament level games in. Even looking forward down the road, because I'm sure we'll do another one after this. It's not the same playing tournament as non-tournament play, so it's good to get those 5 games in, even if you're not going to make it out of group. Mm-hmm. So for that reason, I'm really enjoying the format. But Bregan, as far as bands and the map selection, is it the same setup as the tag tournament, correct?
Yes. So for each match that you are playing, because you're going to play all 5 members of your group, but it's going to be just like we run in the other tournaments. There's 7 total maps. Each player is going to elect to ban a map. And for the sake of making this tournament a little bit easier, because I know some people care about who bans first, the player whose last name is first alphabetically, for example, if it were Poor Choices versus Guinan, it would be...
He's trying to remember our names.
Yeah, sorry, I had to remember the names. Jacob Johnson. So Guinan, because Johnson becomes before King, he would have to ban before some Poor Choices. And after they've each banned a map, then you have to play your best of 5 on the remaining 5 maps, starting on Palace, First player to win 3 games wins the series. In the case of tiebreakers, after the first 5 games are over, replay starting on Palace is needed.
Very cool.
The replays, I actually have a question about that. It says starting on Palace, but assume we banned Palace. Do we skip it the second time as well?
No. No, if it was banned, just you default to Palace.
And I'm going to bring this question up since Palace has the tree to run around. Should there be another draw, are you continuing to play on Palace, or are you going on to the next level higher?
Continue on down the line.
Okay.
Okay.
So
ignoring bans.
Yeah, ignoring bans after, if you get that many draws in a row, which I would be impressed if you do, continue on down the line and just play the remaining maps.
I actually,
Challenge
Somebody has
accepted.
3.
I will not be that impressed. Actually, I expect some like 3-2-2s, stuff like that. Like two losses, 2 draws before you actually pull series 3.
If it was going to happen, 1-on-1 is going to be where it would happen.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's definitely possible. We didn't have that happen. We actually did not have very many draws in the last tournament. I'll say that now. Out of I watched maybe 75% of the matches. Not very many draws.
Okay.
So
We'll see.
it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. Once you finish your matches, the top 2 from each group will advance from the group. So, for example, we'll take Group C and say the Wolf finishes 5-0, not dropping a series to anybody, and Zombie goes 4-1, only losing to the Wolf. Then those 2 would advance into the single elimination bracket stage, the final 8. And when we have that, each pool 1 player, each player that finished first in their group, will play the second place player of a different group, and that'll be drawn at random. So the placing does matter. Placing first or second does matter because you get a little bit better seeding if you place first versus if you place second. So not only do you want to just make top 2, but getting the first place spot is important.
Similar to how it was in the tag tournament. You want the seeding because you play someone who performed not as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And you got 3 weeks to complete those matches. I made group chats for each of the groups or the pods playing, so you can contact each other that way, get things set up, and I'll be doing my best to record those matches based on my availability as well. But do we have any more questions about format? Anything else you think we should cover?
I think that answers most of the questions we had. I think of anything.
Yeah, you said it's single elimination, right? So we're going to have 3 rounds, a quarter, semi, and finals after the group stage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there won't be any of that weird stuff with the finals, like the double elimination going on with the tag tournament. It's just going to be single elimination after that. And there is a $25 Xbox gift card up for this. Don't forget that. I'll probably mention that again towards the end. But let's go ahead and move into the groups then. Does anybody have a group they want to start with specifically,
I
or
think
just
we should
go in
go
order?
down the list. Let's
Go
go
in
down
order?
the list.
Okay, I'll let. How about you introduce this one for us, Poor Choices?
Okay, Group A for amateurs is Murder Mastodon, Esper 51, Bregan, Invoker of Legend, Mega Master, and Jersey Driver. So right off the bat, you're going to notice that 3 of those players are players we saw in the tag tournament. Bregan, Esper, and Mastodon. Invoker of Legend, of course, plays a lot. I'm sure a lot of people have played with him. I am not that familiar with Mega Master and Jersey Driver. But I think this is an interesting group because I would put those first 3 at the top of the pyramid of that group, but only 2 people are going to come out of that group. So we know Esper very familiar with 1v1. Murder, of course, still looking like a solid bet for top of the tag tournament with Geigen over here. And Bregan, the dark horse of the tag tournament, who's going to, according to him, take it from the bottom. I meant, the tournament, not however else you're going to take that. So I think this is an interesting...
Why not both?
Why not both? So I think it's a very interesting setup. For me personally, I'm going to take Murder at the top of the group, just because I've played enough with tag with him to know he's an incredibly solid player. And I'm going to take Bregan second, because I think if anyone knows some weird fun one-on-one skill combinations, it's Bregan. But I'm going to have Esper sort of a dark horse, because Esper is, of course, scary good at 1v1, and that's primarily what he plays. So even though we had to force him into this tournament, if anyone's going to spoil that lineup, it's going to be him. But I don't know what you think, Geigen.
I think, interestingly, I have this in like 3 tiers. I'm going to say Mega Master, Jersey Driver. I'd love to see you guys pull this out because I don't know you. But I want to be impressed by you. But because I don't know you, I can't give you a high weighting in this beginning. But I do know Murder, and I've also played a lot with Bregan. In fact, Esper and Invoker, like these are guys I know really well, so it's interesting to make this choice. I think I'm pretty similar, except I put Invoker and Esper both on a just behind Bregan and Murder. I think there's a good chance Bregan and Murder are the top 2, but Esper or Invoker could easily take one of those slots.
Okay, if you had to pick one.
One who'll take it? I think
Yeah.
I think Invoker actually has a pretty good chance. Like, he plays a darn lot, and he plays mostly tag, but a lot of those skills translate, and he plays against a lot of strong players often, and that's going to show. And I'm gonna throw out something because I know Murder, so I'm just going to let you guys know that he is a solid player, but he hates 1v1 with a passion, and if he tries, I would be scared to be in your spot. But we'll see how much effort, like, I don't mean this in a mean way, but he actually puts into this, because we're still in the tag tournament, and we have a lot of work to do in there. And so
No, and there's something to be said for not changing your decks or not changing your strategy and just showing up. It's definitely not the same as prepping out for 1v1 specifically.
I do know he was online today making some arsenals for it, and he and I actually kind of played against each other just to see how things were going, because I needed to warm up as well. Because I actually played against Esper 51 earlier today, but we're not going to reveal the results.
More on that later.
For now. Yeah, more on that later. We'll do a video of that later.
Nice.
I was just going to add a little bit here. I think you guys are underrating Esper 51 a little bit. Like, the guy, I don't think he's actually that good at tag. Like, I think he gets overhyped in tag, but underhyped in 1v1. The guy's actually really dang good at 1v1. He's probably, because I've played against him several times 1v1, he's probably my favorite player to play in 1v1. I have tons of fun playing this guy. We always have really good matches, and it's back and forth. And before the results of today had happened, I'm going to just talk as if I hadn't played him earlier today. I would say I would, excluding myself, put Esper 51 at the top of the group.
Just as a thought on that, I don't want to sound to you, Esper, or to you guys, that I'm discrediting him, because he's definitely a strong player. But what I'm seeing is he looks strong in 1v1 in a field where a lot of people didn't really play it. And I don't know that I'm not going to say he's not good at it. I don't want to take that credit away. But it's also possible that a lot of what he offers is because other people aren't so familiar. So if people can build a meta that he's not familiar with because they're actually preparing for it, I just don't know how well he'll adapt. If he does, I'd love to see it, because Esper's a wonderful person. I want him to go to the top.
I still think he's going to make it out of the group, and I know they've been talking about playing either today or tomorrow, him and Murder. So if he plays everybody early, which he already played me early as well, like,
No,
he's
it's a
going to be
great strategy.
He's going to be
It's great.
stronger earlier because he's the
wise
one that's
for
been
him,
playing
yeah.
1v1s.
Yeah.
As it goes later in the tournament, it'll be interesting to see if he looks as strong, like you say, if other people are able to create a different meta or just get better at 1v1s than he is. But if I were to make the prediction, I would put Esper 51 at the top of the group, and I wouldn't be 100% on Murder making it out of the group either. Invoker especially has been making a lot of leaps and bounds in getting better at the game. He's somebody who's new from the re-release. He didn't play before the recent release,
I
but
did
he's
not
gotten
know
a
that.
lot better. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I would
he's
not
gotten
have
a lot
guessed
better.
that. Playing with him, he definitely plays like he's been around. He can
Yeah.
handle his own for sure.
Yeah, he's really been proving his chops. He's been making a lot of progress. He's open to criticism. He doesn't complain. Like, he's got everything it takes to continue to get better. So this is kind of his breakout here to see how he's doing, and then hopefully we see more of him in the future.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I think we're gonna ready to move on to Group B.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Guinan,
can't come
you
up
want
with a clever name for, so go for it.
you want
Megan.
to take this one away, Guinan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So group baddies who lose in the semifinals. Let me start with some names that are repeating. We have Xanxus and Mr. Math.
Xanxus didn't lose in the semifinals.
You're right. Who did? I can't remember. Anyways.
Math.
Oh yeah.
Math lost in the semifinals, people.
Oh. But anyways, so we've got some great names here, honestly. Like Mr. Math and Xanxus, you know them from the tag tournaments, hopefully. Strong players, strong cartwheelers, mind you. Like to see those represented. Kamikaze Mario, you may know him as part of Kamikaze Choices, the upcoming tag team that I've been hyping. He's an up-and-coming tag player, primarily, but obviously showing a ton of potential.
He's also the gentleman who won our art contest.
Indeed. And then we've got Multitude, long-term tag player. Haven't seen him as much recently, but he's definitely proven himself to be a wonderful person to play with, as Bragan has told me before, I believe. We're talking about Madman and Multitude, right? Both of them? Yeah.
I was talking primarily about Madman, but I
remember them
love
as a
playing with
combo.
Multitude as well.
I remember them as a combo because of M names. Then War Machine, he's an old school player. He's been around for a long time. I see him here and there. And Renketsu, I've seen the name. I know he's lurked a lot. I haven't played him, and I like that. I like that there's someone amongst a lot of people I've played that's just brand new to me. Predictions? I mean, you can't take credit away from Xanxus. He's obviously a wonderful player. He has experience. And then we've got Math as someone who isn't playing against Monkey, so maybe he could do really well. No, honestly, I think if I had to give my top two, I'm going to say Xanxus and Mario. I've seen Mario put in a lot of time to get really good. I actually think jumpers are better in 1v1 than cartwheelers. I play as a cartwheeler, saying that, but I think you see the benefits more strongly. And yeah, I think Math could easily take one of those spots, but isn't. I'm not sold on it at the moment. What do you think, Bragan?
So you're saying Multitude over Math?
I'm seeing Mario and Xanxus over.
Oh, Mario and Xanxus.
slightly over
Okay.
Math. Multitude, I don't
can see
think
that.
plays enough right now, but he could do it.
I think Multitude is kind of the dark horse here. But if I had to say, I think Xanxus is going to make it out easily. He crushed his way through the last tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I think he only had one match go to full length. Other than that, it was 3-1 or 3-0 against every opponent he had. Even in the finals, it was 3-1 versus Monkey. He had 1-3-2 in the quarterfinals, and that was it. I think he's just going to slide right on through. And I think Math, ended up in the semifinals. He lost in the semifinals, everyone. Is going to be able to make it through as well. He is a strong 1v1 player. He took down some fairly strong players in the last tournament. Even though he got shut down pretty heavily by Monkey, I think he's still going to show to be the better player over Multitude and Kamikaze in this group.
All right. I don't know if my mic's working. Yes?
We can hear you. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Xbox Live disconnected me. So
all
when
right.
I lag out, just know it's the Xbox. So this is an interesting group, I think, for me. Of course, I play with Kamikaze all the time, and I will say we played a few days ago, and he destroyed me at one-on-one. Yes, I might have tried one or two new things out, but he's a very patient player. He of course knows the meta, personals, and his timing. So I expect great things from him. Xanxus, of course, I think is the clear powerhouse in this group. I'd be very surprised if he did not make it out of group. Math, you guys were talking about it, but Math is one of the stronger one-on-one players, and he was actually my dark horse pick, or for who I thought would have done better in the tag tournament, primarily just because
Although
of the games
he
I've played
did
with
lose
him.
in the semifinals.
Yep.
All right. We
Other than
ran
that
out of
loss in the
uses
semifinals.
on that joke now.
Other than the semifinals, maybe you could add it up, Bregan. 1 + 1, he's won a couple of times. One and the number one aren't the same
Oh
thing.
yeah,
Those are
I
bad
predicted
jokes.
him. He's my number 2 to make it out of the group.
Gotcha. Multitude, of course, and I've played. War Machine's been around forever. I've not seen him as much recently, So I'm wondering, how he's going to do, getting into 1v1. And I've actually also never played with Renketsu either, so I'm not sure what to expect there.
War Machine
Base-
was in our last tournament. He went out in the first round to Pisshound 87 in a
Gotcha.
3-1.
Okay. I'm going to keep my predictions the same. I'm going to take Xenxus to win it, Math number 2, and if I had to pick a spoiler, I think Kamikaze might be able to edge out Math if he gets something crazy going, or he gets on.
Sounds
gets
like
on a
I need to
roll
play
there.
with Kamikaze more because I haven't played with him lately. You guys are hyping this guy up.
I might be biased,
So
but I
I don't.
think he's better than he lets on.
I'm gonna be honest. We're nearly at the point that me and Murder have Kamikaze Choices as our scrim partners, basically, and I think that's a good credit to everyone involved. Like we have a lot of really high quality matches repeatedly, and I think everyone's been improving from that.
Yes,
Nice.
but I will say there's clear winners, and it ain't Kamikaze Choices, but we push them. We do push them a bit. I'll say that. But all right,
All right.
you want to announce the next one?
Yeah, let's do Group C for can't get out past round 1.
I was gonna say chumps, but I like yours.
So we have Offing Shoe, Forensic Zombie, The Wolf, Filthy, Reborn Guinan, and Shadow Shield in this group. And these are all players I know fairly well. The one I know the least actually is probably Offing Shoe, but I actually played him in round 1 of the last 1v1 tournament. It was short, is probably the best I could put it. I don't remember too much what he used. But he's not, I don't think, going to be one of the stronger players in this group, but he has a chance to pick up a few wins. He's not so bad where he wouldn't be able to win versus any of the players in this group, but I think he's not going to be one of the ones favored here. Zombie is a player who's been coming back around. He didn't play for a while after the re-release, but he's been playing more now. Wolf, everybody knows this guy. Plays with Nathan, usually in tag. They don't play 1v1 very much, but out of the two, Wolf has always been known as the stronger 1v1 player. So it'll be interesting to see if he can make it out of groups here.
If he can defeat his wife.
Yeah. It sounds like he has to fight his wife almost as much as he has to fight the other members of this group. And then we have Filthy, played with Sandal in the tag tournament. He's a pretty straightforward player. You always want to watch out for his dance of death. He's always willing to break it out, even in 1v1, which I think is a really odd choice. And then Guinan, our co-host here, is going to be in that group, as well as Shadow Shield, who is a player it sounds like neither of you know very well. Do you know him? Poor choices?
I want to say I've played a game with him, but I honestly can't tell you for sure.
I guess I'm the only one that's really played with him. I've played him mostly in tag, but I play him in 1v1 here and there. I know he heavily prefers 1v1, but plays tag. Sorry, having a little mic issues there. About Shadow Shield, again, he's a player that I've played against a good bit. I know he heavily prefers 1v1, plays tag when he has to, usually hovers around 1500 rating or so. He's a strong mechanical player. That's the one thing I'll give him right off the bat. I don't think his decision-making is as good. I'm not as big a fan of his arsenals, but he's a good mechanical player. He's good at dodging, tough to hit, plays a solid jumper, and has really good defense timing. So he's a player that I think, could have a chance to get out of this group. This is also his favored game mode, so I'm interested to see if he's going to break something out. Like I said, I haven't really liked a lot of his arsenals previously, but if he can bring some better arsenals, I think he has the mechanical skills to take a top 2 spot in this group. So what are you guys' predictions? What are you looking
I want
at
to hear
here?
too, though, first.
Okay, yeah, I'm kind of similar. I've played with everyone. I've not played with Wolf much since the re-release. I think maybe once or twice. Aff and Show I've not really played with. And, of course, Shadow. So I'm going to lean on kind of the knowledge I have. Filthy is going to be, I think, interesting. I think if I had to pick a spoiler, I think Filthy is the one I'm picking. Of course, we talked about Dance of Death, but he does have a lot of interesting stuff he likes to pull out and tag. I'd be interested to see if he plays even crazier stuff 1v1. Zombie, of course, I'm putting right there kind of with Filthy. I think Zombie has some pretty solid arsenals. I've played tag with him. I mean, when he's on it, he's definitely a competitor. He could give everyone in that group kind of a run for their money on a good day. Wolf, of course, didn't have quite the showing we expected from Tag, but historically he's been a very strong player. I think for him it's going to come down to, can he actually get enough games in? I think that was an issue with Tag, is whether he was playing enough. So if he can get the games in, I'd be very interested to see where he's going. Shadow, I guess, is a complete wild card for me because I don't have no idea what he's bringing. And of course, I think put my top of the list is going to be Geigen, and we're going to have to hear from him about how great he is. But I'll take him.
Right now.
I'll take him number 1. I'll take Wolf number 2, and I'll take Filthy to possibly spoil either one of those.
I guess if I were to rank this group, I'd say we have 3 pretty solid players in Filthy, Zombie, and Hoffing Shoe. And then I think my top 2 is going to be, I think Guinan's going to take this group pretty easily, actually, as number 1. And then it's going to be between Wolf and Shadow Shield for the second spot, I think.
I'm still giving you my Joe Biden finger pistols. All right. Yeah, so I actually used to play with Zombie and Filthy a lot, like when this re-release came out, and they're both strong players. I have to mention that I haven't seen him out Filthy online as much, besides the tag tournament. But he played in the tag tournament, and that's experience, good experience. Zombie's been practicing a lot. Wolf doesn't exist, and Shadow Shield doesn't exist because I've never heard of him. But I digress. I mean, I could give Shadow Shield, like, if 1v1 is his format, has a chance. But I actually think it's me than Zombie is what I'm going to see. I think Zombie's been putting in the hours lately. He's been putting in a lot of new arsenals, a lot of tweaks, and that's the kind of thing that is rewarded in 1v1, is really testing your skills, because it's your 30 against their 30. There's no other factors, skill-wise.
So excluding yourself, who's the top 2 in this group?
I think Wolf. I think Wolf could go with Zombie.
Wolf and Zombie?
Though
Little
again,
Zombie Wolf.
I don't know Shadow Shield, and maybe he's the most wonderful player in the world. Join my room, Shadow Shield. Add me on Xbox. But yeah, that's what I'm going for so far. It's hard with me in there, but I should note that actually it's got to be me and Wolf, because those, you're going to see the picture behind this video, is the image that Reagan took of his notepad with the names on them. And he missed the 0 in Wolf 0, and he missed the O in Reborn Guinan, which means that neither of us is going to lose.
That's an interesting kind of twist of logic there.
Yeah, so with that unbreakable logic,
I
let's go to
did
Group
miss
D.
the O in Reborn Guinan. Jeez.
And the O in Wolf. So let's go to Group D.
Well, I just put Wolf. I didn't put the Wolf 0.
No,
I just wrote Wolf.
You put Monkey 20,051. So
Well,
you have
for
no
most of them,
defense.
well, the most of them I was doing shorthand, and then some others I wrote out longhand. I don't know why.
So Group D begins with
late at
Nathan
night.
O. Take it away, some poor choices.
Group D for doesn't have a
Okay.
chance.
Oh,
Group D for damn, this is going to be a tough group.
it is actually.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm in it. So from this group, it's the players I all recognize. I've played with every single one of these players at some point since the re-release. Except, well, no, I think I played Nathan 0 at least once. Sandal, of course, runs some crazy stuff, known for it. Evolution is known for the exact same thing. Monkey, we talked about his showing in the previous 1v1. A very solid player. Psycho is always on. He's also a solid player. Nathan, of course, from the tag tournament, everybody's fairly familiar with him. He's pretty good, although I haven't seen him on lately, kind of the same issue as Wolf. And some poor choices, love that guy. I'm kidding. Nobody really picks him. That would be a poor choice. But I think as far as groups go, we're calling this one the group of death. And that's not to say it's all the best players, but we're definitely, I think it'd be very hard to differentiate the top of the list from the bottom of the list in this particular group. For me personally, I know I have a weakness when it comes to 1v1. I'm on a good day. I think I'm pretty technically skilled, but I don't run a lot of crazy arsenals. So because of that, I'm going to pick, for me, I'm going to pick Monkey at the top, and I'm going to go out here on a limb and say Sandal actually takes number 2, possibly flipping that with Evolution. depending on which one of them can bust out some of the crazier sort of vicious balance, quantum decaying, still moments, disintegrate decks that I'm bound to see multiple times.
Well,
So
those
that's-
combos are going to be a lot harder to pull off without a tag partner. You need a pretty elaborate setup to do that, but that's right up Sandal's wheelhouse, so it'll be interesting to see what he brings to the
If
table.
anyone can bring those out in 1v1, those are the players that are going to do it.
I do
Which
agree,
I'm gonna
though.
rush them with the sword immediately.
I do agree, though, when looking at this group, I had already said, like you did, when I was looking at it, that this is the group with the most parity, I think, the most equality among the players. Like, for me, like, there might be one standout player here, but everybody else is, like, solidly, around A-tier players that not one is going to be super far ahead or super far behind the others, whereas, like, in the other groups, it's a little bit easier to call. Like, honestly, any two players in this group could make it out, like, really easily.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, obviously you could say any two players can make it out in the other group, given a certain percentage of chance. But I'm talking about almost an even chance between all of these players here. But strangely enough, I was going to say the two that you said poor choices were actually the two that I was going to say was I was going to have Monkey as my number one and Sandal just because of the wild card effect as my number two.
All right.
But I'll put Nathan as playing spoiler here. He doesn't get in as much game time, but he always comes up with interesting strategies, and I think people tend to underestimate him away from his partner. But I actually lost a 1v1 tournament round to Nathan, not since the re-release, but a long time ago. Long time ago, he actually took me down. It was like 3-1 or 3-0. It was pretty brutal. So he's somebody who can step up and surprise.
Well, let me tell you that I actually feel pretty confident about this one. I think that they will be all good matches, but I'm going to see two rise to the top, much like corpses. I think that Sandal, you guys mentioned like makes good arsenals. He's also a phenomenal dodger, a really good jumper, one of the best. Should be noted. So it's not just technical skill of like how quickly he can do it, but he knows how to dodge more abilities than the average player, than the average good player.
Very true. Very true.
He's a very high mechanical player, and since he doesn't have to worry about watching two people at once, which I think is a weakness of his when he plays tag, in a 1v1 setting, he could be a lot more dangerous just because he's so much harder to hit without something else to distract him.
Yeah, I could see that. But I think Monkey has the bits to do this. I think in the tag tournament, Monkey showed a lot of power. He showed that he can bring it a lot. Not that Silver didn't, but Monkey impressed me. And some poor choices, again, has like some of the best sparring partners in the game. I can't remember who they were, but I just know like fabulous people. That's going to put some extra oomph into him. And that might even translate to me beating him up on 1v1 so that he can practice.
I mean, I know he's
That would
sitting
be
here
helpful.
next to me, so I don't want to make it like trash talk, but I do worry because I've played him 1v1, and I would say he's a much stronger tag player than he is a 1v1 player. So I'm going to be interested to see if he can make that transition because he has shown weaknesses and really clear tendencies in the times I've played him in 1v1.
Don't tell those specifically. I
But-
know you know what they
But
are.
see, interestingly, for this group, as compared to the others, there's not really any 1v1 players. You have Esper, Xanxus, and Matthew showed a lot of 1v1. You have Shadow Shield. These are all tag players, to my knowledge. And that means that they're all coming at this with the same slight discomfort that 1v1 offers when you don't have someone to back you up.
Well, yes and no, because I think Sandal might be a stronger 1v1 player than he is a tag player. And for example, Monkey made the finals of the last 1v1 tournament, beating, sorry, this isn't just because it's a joke, but beating Math in the semifinals
Which is a
3-0,
strong
who is
player.
somebody you cited as a 1v1 player just a moment ago.
Yeah.
So Monkey's shown some really strong 1v1 potential as well. So we do have two players, I'd argue, that are very strong in 1v1 in this setting. I think it'll be interesting to see whether those tag players can step up, like Evolution, Poor Choices, and Nathan.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to give my my original give for this first these rounds. I think it's going to be Monkey is possibly undefeated. I think some poor choices will make the top two unless Sandal takes it out of them. Because I definitely could see Sandal using the mechanical skill to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's more optimistic than I was expecting, but I'll take it.
All right, so I guess we'll play the long game now. Who is your favorite and who is your dark horse to win the whole tournament?
Choices. I'd like to hear yours first. I don't want to go first.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite, you know, as much as I like you, Reborn, I'm going to take Xanxus as my favorite for the whole tournament. I think time and again, Xanxus has shown that he is just a dominant player, especially when it comes to early aggression, which is going to really thrive in a 1v1 setting. So I would expect his playstyle to translate really easily, and of course he's already got a great 1v1 showing, so I would expect that to continue. As far as my dark horse, I've got to give it to Sandal. We just talked about him having some of the most interesting ideas and being really good at dodging. You put those together, and you have some great spoiling level decks. And if any of those are enough to elevate him out of group,
is he
then
your
they put
dark
him in a
horse
real
to go
contender.
far, or your dark horse to win the tournament?
I'm going to put him as a dark horse to win.
Okay,
I'm going to say
let's
it's
just go first.
Xanxus and Sandal are going to be, my two top as far as the one I think is very likely and the one that could surprise us all.
So if I were to say, again, talking about a co-host here, I think Guinan is probably my favorite to win the tournament. I've played a lot of 1v1s in the past against him. I've also tagged with him. And the guy's really stepped up his gameplay over the past couple of months. I got to admit, he's made a lot of progress, whereas some players haven't. Others have stagnated. And I think despite having such an abysmal showing in the last 1v1 tournament, that he's going to be able to make the bounce back. From what I understand, the 3 losses he had, each one was super close against Xanxus then. So it's not like he really got stomped. He just didn't have a chance because of the format to prove himself afterwards. And I think he's going to be the one who's going to have a dominant group stage, and then that seeding will help get him towards the finals where he'll be able to pull things out. And if I were to say my dark horse, I think people are still, like, despite the fact that people call him the 1v1 king, people are still sleeping on Esper 51. The guy was not as impressive in tag. I really got to say, he wasn't as impressive in tag. But when I've played him 1v1, he plays me some of the closest sets out of anybody. I'm known as a choker. I tend to choke in matches. Like, that's just a fact. Like, I'll play really well outside of a professional match, and then once we get into professional matches, I just always drop the ball, or I have a bad draw, or any other number of excuses. Esper 51, though, whenever I play him in the 1v1 matches, even when we're not playing like real matches, he always gives me good close matches. I think he's a good player, and I think he's my dark horse to pull the upset win at the tournament.
Yeah, so I have, I actually have, yes, I think Esper has a hard fight ahead of him, but he is the safest pick. Even Xanxus having put in a good showing, that was, like you said, a long time ago. It was early in the re-release, and I think players have come to parity from where it was before. I think Esper has put in the time, just like Xanxus puts in the time for tag. Esper puts in the 1v1 time. He is a clear favorite, so if you were gonna bet on the horse, Esper's gonna go pretty far.
I'm not sure you picked him out of group.
I didn't, but I still think he could win it. You know what? That's how statistics work.
So you don't think he's going to advance from groups, but you think he's the favorite to win the tournament?
Hardest group, but if he
I'm not sure I should have called you out.
I think he has the hardest group of the 4, but if he wins it, he's got the tournament.
Okay.
Well, with logic like that, that's how Jacob Johnson, Reborn Guinan, is going to win the tournament.
But no, really, he has the hardest group.
CLG, we found your player for Phantom Dust.
Yeah, don't you forget. And for my upsetter,
Your logic.
I've got an upsetter that I really want to throw at you. I think that Math is going to lose to Monkey. I mean,
He already did.
I'm sorry.
He already did. Math lost in the semifinals to Monkey.
You are getting a lot of mileage out of that one.
We're done with it. We're done with it, I say again. I'm going to go on a limb, and I'm going to say that this is going to be just as hard because it'll have to get out of group stage. Someone who puts in a ton of effort, who is going to have a hard group, if I see Invoker get out of Group A, he might be able to do it.
Really, Invoker.
He puts in a lot of time, and I think a lot of the times where, like, I played him in tag a lot, you know, he doesn't have he's not my top tag player, but I think a lot of that comes from the playstyle of tag. Maybe he doesn't know it, but I think he has a playstyle that'll do well in 1v1 from my personal experience.
Well, see, I'm glad that these are your
I can see
predictions
that.
because right now, basically, you're just telling me that Group A is stacked, and so I have great excuses lined up if I don't advance.
It's totally stacked. It is. Even, like, I'm going to say, like, my group, I lost the last 1v1 tournament. I shouldn't be considered stacked. I'm going to win. But after that, like, you know, A got it. It's going to be the hardest group.
Yeah, I think A has some of the highest difficulty at the top. Like we're going to lose players that could have made deeper runs otherwise. And then I think also Group D is scary for me.
I think Group D could go any given way.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think it's a group of death. But yeah, I would agree that A is pretty stacked at the top, and then B and C are just scrubs. It's true, very true.
I am a scrub. Confirmed.
Is there any chance we could pause this for just a moment?
Yes, and taking a break. Sorry about that, guys. Quick aside, Bregan actually has to run away anyways, but we're done with our agenda, so tell us what you got to say, Breggy.
I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun. I'm really happy with the participation we've had in this tournament with 24 entrants. I think it's going to be a real exciting time. I'm interested to see how the groups shake out and who is going to show that they are the one dragging their tag partners around and that they're the best player in the game right now. Because I think we have just about everybody who could make that claim involved in this tournament right now. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be definitely a lot of fun. Anything you guys like to add?
Just looking forward to the tournament. Thanks, Bregan, for setting it up and for giving everyone a personalized chat group. I think that'll be, really beneficial in getting matches scheduled. Everyone just remember to schedule your matches. And I apologize in advance for not getting back to everyone for a little while. But yeah, just looking forward to it and can't wait to get beat.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds great. You're going to see a lot of recordings going up of these videos, whether Bregan is spectating or the players themselves are recording. So keep an eye out for them.
Yeah, there will be one later this evening, actually. One round has already been played between me and Esper, so tune in for that.
Tune in later for Bregan's probably beating. Catch you guys later.